Hello, welcome to Healthy Living, Health 4. This is section 1325, and I'm Megan Knoll. Here's my face. I am totally dressed professionally and not recording this in my pajamas at all. Hello, let's talk about this class. So, before we get into assignments, let's go talk about Canvas. So the way that we're going to get, you're going to get all the information for this class is by going to Lobo Apps. Hopefully that's where you got this. You're already here, because that's where you got this lecture. You may have clicked on this video through the email I sent, though. So then you're going to go to Canvas. So you'll log into, if you've never done it before, you log into Logo Apps with your MPC login. You'll get this screen, or it might look something like this, depending on how you've organized it. You go to Canvas, and then it shows all of your classes, and you'll click on this class. Alright, so then you have, yours will look a little different than this page does right now because I haven't made everything available for you yet, but what you have before the class started was the book information. We're using the book called Core Concepts in Health by Insel, 15th edition, with this ISBN number. You can use a different edition of the book, but the important thing is you have to have this Connect access, because that's how we're turning in all of our assignments, okay? So you should also see on the side here, you'll see something called modules, which is going to hopefully be the same as the home page. Good. But this McGraw-Hill Connect is really important. So you either go through this, and this takes you directly to the book site. It takes a little while for it to load. So this is what mine looks like. Yours should look something like this, and there is a Go to Connect section. The other way, so this, if you've never logged into the book, if you click this, it'll take you to a screen where you're going to go in and you buy access to the online section, or you have already gotten your waiver from the bookstore and you put in your information. Either way, you should end up on a page where you see your assignments and you see the textbook itself. Okay, so when you go to the textbook itself, the reason why this is very important is because all of our assignments are going to be given through this textbook, through the online portal. And you see all of your readings that you have to do. Now, when they're assigned and everything will change. Like, for example, it is not due on January 1st. It is due this second chapter. You'll see this one has already been assigned. When you click it, you do the reading. If you're not comfortable with an online book, you can buy a... why is this not highlighted? I don't know. Anyway, you can buy a hard copy of it, but you still have to go in and take your quizzes at the end of the chapters online. Okay, so anything that's been picked, I don't know if it's highlighted for you. Probably. Those are the things you really need to focus on that will be in the quizzes that count for your grade. I also recommend looking at the pictures because they are worth 1,000 words. No, they will give you, a lot of times they have a lot of information that's very important, such as this is an interesting thing to look at. We're going to talk about why life expectancy has changed over time and how the major things that used to kill us have definitely changed, okay? So it used to be that people, especially before the 1900s, were most likely to die due to infectious diseases, and a lot of that, like the Black Plague, which destroyed a huge chunk of the world's population. It is now, people still get the Black Plague, but it's a bacterial infection and we can kill that really easily, so it's not a big deal. It's not something that's threatening the world. Other things, even something like HIV or Ebola, while are very scary, they're not a major leading cause of death in our society. What is now a major leading cause, so when the car became much more popular, the motor vehicle safety became a huge issue. People were dying in car accidents more than they were dying from things like the Black Death. Now we understand that the leading cause of death in societies such as ours is actually stress. So we are thinking ourselves to death. We are going to get to that in the next lecture, so that's all I'm going to say about that. But anyway, the point of this is make sure you check out the figures, even if they're not specifically highlighted, because they have a lot. To complete your smart book assignment. Oh, no. All right, so that's fun. This might come up sometimes if you're on something for too long. Okay, let's make that go away. Okay, let's go back. So that's part of the assignments, is that, and another way that you can get to your assignments, sorry, that's my dog, he is Very annoying. Another way you'll get to your dog, your assignment, not your dog, is when you go click on assignments, it'll take you directly to the part of the book you need to go to in order to complete this part of the assignment. So then you'll go here, you click launch. Hang on one second. Kibble! Shush! Kibble! Oh, one sad part of working at home is that my dog is going to bark every time he sees a squirrel. So you'll see, so this is what I see. I see that students are taking it. 2 people, so right now, as of recording of this video, only 3 people have logged into the book out of 27. Hopefully will change. But you will see, when you click on the assignments, you will see something like this. So you'll hear this referred to either as the Smart Book or the Connect Access or the Learning Pro. I don't know. They have so many names for it. But taking charge of your health. Come on. This went to the wrong. That's fantastic. Student activity. Nope. Anyway, obviously I'm seeing something different than you are, but the point being, when you go and click on the Taking Charge, Smart Book, it will take you directly to the assignment that you can work on. The Smart Book Introduction is going to be how, we'll walk you through how to get through the book. It also tells you when they're due. And for example, I'm recording this a day before the first day of class, and so you this will be gone by the time you see it. Not available till blah blah. It will give it to you earlier than, it'll just say when it's due and then how many points it's worth. When you're checking your grade, you come over here to grades. Right now you can see no one has grades, but you'll see just your name and then everybody's the assignment grade that you get. Okay. Okay, let's go back. Boom. Boom. All right, back to home. What else is great here? Okay, so when I make the modules available, after I'm done recording, what you'll see is there will be a link to the lecture video. Okay, so either you got there here to this video directly through this link, or you got to it through the email I sent to everybody, and then you'll see anything else that you need for class. I'm going to, once I'm done, I'll post the slides on this same module. I will post any additional paperwork or anything that you need, like for example, this has the syllabus on it, and then any links that I mentioned in the video, in the lecture, will also be linked here. So we're going to come back to this in a few minutes. So let's, where are we? Okay, so that is, a little introduction to how we access everything in the course. And your very first assignment that I need everyone to do is to email me at mnoel, that's mnoel@mpc.edu, some very basic things so that I, first of all, have a working email address that you check daily. And so in case like a lecture is going to be late, I can let you know. If there's something interesting in the news, I can let everybody know. Or if I need to contact you because for some reason I'm not getting your graded work, then that's what you need to pass the class. So that's the easiest way for me to contact you. I am actually not on site. I'm not at MPC. I don't live in Monterey. I actually live in Los Angeles right now because I'm teaching at a high school during the day. And I have taught at MPC. Some of you I've had before in the past. Hello. Such as for environmental or for anatomy. So right now I'm teaching in LA. I'm not on campus. So the best and actually only way to contact me is through this email address. I check it obsessively, so I will get back to you as soon as I can, and usually within the day, if not within the hour, depending on how needy my high school students are. Okay, so I want you to email me your name, first and last. If you go by something other that's in the gradebook, let me know, so that if I had somebody whose name he went by Pablo, but in the records book he was Jeremy, and so he would email me from an email address that said Pablo, and then I had no idea who he was until he said, "Oh no, that's me. I just don't go by Jeremy. I only go by Pablo." Cool, whatever. Just make sure I know so that I can match your grade to your question, etc. And also, it's weird to go by a name that you don't like if you don't have to. Okay, so on that note, please feel free to call me Megan. I have been teaching for 10 years and I have a master's degree, but I am not a doctor, so you do not need to call me Dr. Knoll. It's also weird to me when adults call me Miss Knoll, so I save that for the high school kids. Okay, so let me know also why you're taking Healthy Living. It is totally fine to say it is because it is required for your degree. That's the truth, and we'll talk about why it is required for most degrees during this lecture. Name one healthy habit that you are have in your life. So for example, I try very hard not to drink soda. That is a healthy habit that I have. I used to be very bad about drinking soda 3 or 4 times a day. Now I can't, and I don't want to. I feel like it is going to destroy my teeth, so I don't want to. It's also not good for you. Name one healthy habit you would like to add to your life. So for example, I need to exercise more, so that's definitely an ongoing struggle I have with getting this healthy habit going. And we're going to talk about how to increase your healthy habits when our brains are so set against it. Like, we know intellectually that we should be healthier, we should eat less cake or whatever, but it's really hard to actually get that to happen, and we're going to talk about why. Tell me what you hope and expect from a good instructor, and let me know if you have access to the online books, the books online system, okay, the portal, the online, whatever they want to call it, the smart book, the Connect Access, okay? So if you don't, by the end of the week, you're going to start seeing your grade be seriously affected. This is an 8-week class, since it's a late start class. That means it goes pretty fast, and you'll have between 3 and 5 assignments per week, which isn't a lot, really. If this were a class that met 4 times a week, this would make a lot more sense, but since we're doing it online, it might feel like a lot, especially if you don't carve out a specific time of day to do the assignments, okay? So if you say, oh, well, and when we look at the syllabus, we'll see nothing for the week is due until Monday at 8 a.m. I'll just do it all Sunday night. That is not a good strategy, because you will have hours upon hours of work to have to do all in one day. You can't retain information that way very well, and you're going to stress yourself out. So it's a good idea to make sure that you are setting yourself up to do the work through the course of the week and not just all at once. All right, let's keep going. Okay, here we are. Here's me again. I think I've mentioned all of this. My name is Megan Knoll. I live in LA. I'm not on site at MPC. There are instructors on site at MPC. Shirley is her name, is one of them, and she does teach a lot of courses, so she may not always be available, but she could answer content specific questions. Usually though, if you have a question, you want to email me, or you can also email me through Canvas. There is an option where you can email me directly through the app. All right, keep on going. Let's talk about some learning outcomes. So the point of this class is to let you know that there are many aspects to being healthy. It's not just about eating well and exercising. There's so much more. Those are very important, the physical, but they both just fall under physical, okay? So there's actually very important things involved with intellectual health, spiritual health, and if you're not a religious person at all, like I am not religious, this word always freaks me out a little bit. If you are religious and you hear people say, oh, I'm spiritual, that might freak you out a little bit, but the idea is, as humans, for some reason, we need to have something to believe in order to be a fully rounded human being. Why? No one knows. It's a weird quirk of evolution, whatever, but it does actually affect your health. It doesn't have to be it doesn't have to be a deity. It doesn't have to be anything organized, but there's something about just having something to believe in. It could be nature, it could be the universe, whatever. It could be yourself. And as long as you have that thing to believe in, people tend to be a more well-rounded, healthy individual. There is a lot around emotional health that people are really starting to figure out right now. We'll talk about that. Social health, what kind of a social network do you have? That includes your family. And then environmental health, which is becoming, again, another thing that people are starting to really pay attention to. This includes things like climate change, which is a big idea, but it also includes things like, why am I always sick when I go into this room of my apartment? Oh, there's this black thing on the wall, that's black mold. That is an environmental health hazard that is causing you to get sick. So we'll talk a lot about that. And one of the reasons why this course is required by MPC for so many majors, if not everyone, is because there is a very strong correlation between people who never take a health class and people who do very unhealthy, risky things. For example, I'm originally from Texas. I grew up in Austin, Texas, and that's where I started teaching. In Texas, it is required by law to only teach abstinence when it comes to sexual education. Texas also has a very huge rate of teen pregnancies and STIs, which is an interesting correlation. The place that doesn't teach anything except for abstinence has a lot of teen pregnancies, so there's that fact. Places like California, where they have a very robust, well-rounded sexual education program, you see far fewer teen pregnancies, you see far fewer STIs, etc. So there is a strong correlation between people taking a health class and being healthy, which seems silly, but not really. This could, even if this is a class you're just taking because you're required and you're not really paying attention and you're just going to take the quizzes, even just passively taking in this information, you're going to get more than you had before. But you should take it seriously because your health is very important. All right. So we're going to be analyzing how the following components contribute to overall wellness. And wellness is different than health. It's like saying weather and climate. They're two different things. We are going to evaluate our own wellnesses and describe steps and choices to make and maintain good health. So there may be things you never even knew that you were doing or you had in your life, and different ways that you can access resources to help you make better choices. There's also better ways to make healthy different choices than you may know about. For example, it's really hard for a lot of people to quit smoking cold turkey. It's a lot more effective if you do it in small steps, etc. We'll keep going. We are going to describe how different things can influence wellness. Whether or not this is fair is a question for a government class, but there is a huge disparity between the genders, the races, different cultures, and socioeconomic backgrounds that can influence how well someone is. So, in this class, when this is an in-person class, there are a lot of discussions that are very, very important. Since instead we are doing this online and people are doing it at different times, we can't really facilitate big group discussions. But on your own, you should be very thoughtful in how you're responding to questions. So some of the questions we're going to talk about are what are called wellness worksheets, and these are things where you are evaluating your own lifestyle to see where you may have a weakness when it comes to your health, okay? Now, this is not so that I can look back and be like, oh, no, look at these kids, blah, blah, blah. No, this is so you can get an idea of how your lifestyle is affecting your wellness, okay? So it's very important to be thoughtful when you're completing these assignments. And please do not be afraid to ask questions. If you want to email me because you saw something weird and you don't know how to evaluate it, that is a fabulous thing to do. If there's something in the book that goes against everything you've ever been taught, that is something good to ask a question about. And it could be that the book is being weird, or it could be that you've been taught something that has been passed down that is no longer correct. For example, I still, when I'm making meals, think, okay, I gotta have something from the 4 food groups. I need a meat, a dairy, a fiber, and I need veggies. That is not how we're supposed to plan meals anymore. We're gonna talk a lot about that. But it's the first thing that I learned, and I learned it so hard in Texas in 3rd grade that it's stuck in my brain. So it's something that I always have to think about. So don't be afraid to ask questions. However, do be aware that even though my background's in physiology, I am not a doctor, and so a lot of the things that you may want to ask me, I may say, oh my gosh, that's so interesting, but you really need to go to a doctor. And I have an unfortunate habit of thinking weird medical things are interesting rather than terrifying. My brother recently had a kidney stone, and when he got his CAT scan back from looking at it, where they were trying to figure out what was wrong with him when he was in so much pain, because they tried to palpate the region where he was in pain, which is to kind of rub it and see where it is, and they couldn't find his kidneys, and that was weird. And so they did a CAT scan, and they looked, and it turns out instead of having 2 kidneys, like we all should have, he has 1 giant kidney in the middle of his back instead of on 2 sides of his back, which when he told me, I thought was amazing. How friggin' cool is that? That's so amazing. I want to know more. And he got really mad at me because that's, to him, it's his personal experience, and he's terrified. And he's 35. He's lived his whole life with only 1 kidney. He's going to be fine. But it is something to think about when people are mentioning health things. Like, what is really interesting and fascinating to one person might be something terrifying to somebody else. So when you're learning these things, be aware that if you may, especially if you go on and take other health classes or medical classes, you may, learn what it is to have Klinefelter syndrome, and then see someone on the street who obviously has Klinefelters. They don't need you rushing up to say, oh my god, you have Klinefelters, because they know. Okay, so don't be afraid to ask questions, but do be sensitive about these things. But since we are an online class, do ask me whatever you need, but just be aware I might refer you to health experts rather than answer some of them. All right, be interdependent. This means, so to be interdependent is to be independent, but then also rely on your resources. Okay, so we're going to talk a lot about that. And do remember that especially since this is an online course, you are responsible for your own success. Okay, so you need to be aware of what you need to do to be successful. You need to be aware of when to get your homework done. If you are confused about something, don't just sit and hope that I will get to it. If I don't, you should get in touch with me about it. Okay, so make sure you are successful and proactive about doing well in this class. So let's talk about the syllabus. This is the funniest picture I've ever seen of a professor. This is actually a professor from Austin Community College, where I am, again, from. I didn't go to Austin Community College, but it was in Austin, which is where I'm from. And he would get so mad about kids always asking, what's this, what's that, that he finally had this shirt made and pretended to be the Hulk and rip it open to say, it's in the syllabus. He's actually a really nice guy. He just thought this was really funny. I'm not that mean and scary, but let's talk about the syllabus. So where is the syllabus? If you go to where you saw the video, link in Canvas in the first module, you can download the syllabus. If you see any access problems, like you don't have permission for this, I think I should have fixed all of those issues, but if you see that, please email me right away and I will fix it for everybody. All right. Let's talk about this. Okay, so boring. Okay, so we've talked about what the, let's see, we've talked about what the class is about. We've talked about the book. The things you have to have for this class, you definitely have to have some kind of internet connection. You obviously do if you're listening to this video. You need to be able to get to Canvas and the Lobo apps and the online textbook, as we've discussed. It's also very helpful to have some sort of method for taking and organizing your own notes, either on paper or electronically. There's actually still a lot of evidence that suggests we retain information a lot better when we write it down. So, like literally writing it with pen and paper, etc., than by just taking notes or just passively watching a video on it's better to take notes with pen and paper than it is to just write it down on a computer or passively watch a video. Okay, so there's a lot of evidence about that. So I suggest if you see something that you're like, I should probably remember that, write it down. Okay, this class is fully online. I don't want to read everything because you can read. This statement about sometimes we may participate in a blend of self-paced and group-paced activities using Canvas, such as discussion forums. We probably won't do that this year just because this is the first time I'm doing an online course that's fully online, and when you do something new like this, you don't want to wholly change everything. You want to take it in baby steps. So we'll probably just stick to the assignments that are in Connect. And speaking of, the due dates, etc., are subject to change based on if there are internet outages, if something crazy happens, etc. So make sure you keep up with Canvas for the correct dates of everything. Okay, so due dates should be very obvious. If you ever need any kind of technical assistance, MPC has a really good technical assistance program, so make sure you talk to them, okay? We talked about the learning outcomes. In general, the point of this class is that you're going to demonstrate an ability to analyze how the different aspects of wellness contribute to your overall wellness and healthful living. Now, this doesn't mean you're going to come out of this a perfect human being. There are no perfect human beings. There are people who want you to think they're perfect human beings, but nobody is. It's an ongoing process and struggle for everyone. Fantastic. So do keep in mind these are just telling you what our research currently says is the best idea to be the most successful human being you can be, the most healthy human being you can be. It doesn't mean that your grade is dependent on if you lose weight, if you gain muscle mass, blah, blah, blah. No, it's just telling you how to become self-dependent and self-reliant on taking charge of your own health. All right. We're going to talk about things such as decision-making. When it comes to those 6 components of wellness, we talked about how that gender and socioeconomic status, etc., can affect health. We're going to talk about mental health disorders. This is especially important in college students and is becoming more and more prevalent in just society in general. And it's not that more people are depressed, it's that more people are recognizing that as a true problem. Okay, we'll talk about that. We're going to talk about techniques for preventing and managing stress. As I mentioned, stress is the #1 killer in the U.S. right now and in all first world countries. What do they call it? Developed countries. We're going to talk about ways to plan wellness, to maintain wellness, and prevent premature illness through things such as diet, exercise, stress management, avoidance of addictive substances, hygiene, knowledge of genetic predispositions, and regular checkups. Yeah, that's a lot of things. And if you are an 18-year-old taking this class, these are a lot of scary things that your parents may have already taken care of for you up until now, and now all of a sudden it's all being thrown at you. Even if you're like the 38-year-old taking this class and all of these things are suddenly being thrown at you, it can be very overwhelming. So we're going to talk about things in little steps and how you don't have to fix everything at once to be a healthy individual. We're going to talk a lot about the process of sexual reproduction, including the menstrual cycle. Don't freak out about that, please, gentlemen. Fertilization, pregnancy, and childbirth, and how to make good choices when it comes to these different things. We're going to talk about physical, social, and mental changes that may accompany aging and death. Now, I don't always get to this part of the class because it is the very last thing, but hopefully we will in this course if I stay on schedule. And we will especially be discussing the leading causes of death for Americans and the risk factors associated with that. Okay, we're going to be doing that through those online activities that we've discussed. Every chapter you're going to have what's called the Learn Smart or Smart Book or whatever they want to call it. E-reading assignment. So basically you read the chapter and then at the end you answer some questions. If you don't get it right, you go back and it shows you where your passage where you should have where it came from is. You read it again, you go back, you retake the question until you get it right. Okay? This is adaptive, which means if you are like, dude, I don't need to read anything about stress, I'm majoring in stress. There's no major in stress, but you know what I mean. If you don't need to read anything about exercise because you are a trained physical therapist, then you can just skip straight to the quiz whatever the end of the chapter reading assignment is, and if you get it all right, you're done. You already know all of those things, okay? But if you get them wrong, it'll send you back to the place where the content is, so you can read it, learn about it, and then go back and retake it. There are assignments that go along with this. We're going to talk about this in a little bit. They'll be clearly marked in your syllabus and on Canvas. And at the end of the week, since this is an online class, we're going to have quizzes rather than having rather than having 3 exams and a final like a traditional class would, because this is an online class. Instead, there's no way to get everyone together to take the quiz or take an exam, proctor the exam, etc. Etc. It's not a word. Etc. So instead, you will be taking quizzes at the end of each week. Okay, and we'll talk about that. So this is the topic outlined, and this is probably the most important part of this syllabus. It tells you the week. So we're in week 1, and this is the module that's called Introduction and something about syllabus and overview. Okay, so this covers chapter 1. And this week I will be posting 2 lecture modules. This lecture you're listening to right now and the nervous system and stress lecture. Okay, those are going to be based on chapters 1 and 2. And so the activities that you have to do this week are read chapters 1 and 2 and do the ending, okay, do the little, the assignment at the end. There's what's called a wellness worksheet. We're going to talk about that. And then there's a video with questions that's also going to be assigned, okay? And then at the end, you take the quiz, okay? So the quiz is not adaptive. It's timed. And if you have an extra time accommodation, please let me know as soon as possible so I can get that worked into your assignment. But so the quiz is timed and it's not adaptive. So whereas the chapter readings, if you get something wrong, you go back, you read about it, you redo it. The quizzes are not like that. They are just, you get it, you take it, you get your grade, you're done, okay? Everything that's assigned this week will be due the following Monday at 8 a.m. So that's true for everything for the entire semester until the very last week, because everything is due by Friday at midnight, okay? So you don't have a lot this week, and like I said, we may not even get to chapter 19. We'll see. So this will be updated as we go through the semester, so you'll be able to, and you'll see it in the modules and on Canvas, what's assigned when. So you'll know exactly when things are due, you'll know exactly when it's graded. Everything will be nice and up to date. If you've had me before, it takes me a while to get things graded, but not when it's online, so it'll be very easy, much less stressful for everyone involved. Everything is due the Monday after it's assigned at 8 a.m., except for the very last week when everything is due that Friday by midnight, because that's just the requirement by MPC that everything is turned in by that time. All right. Awesome. Let's go on. You can check out what we're going to be covering by looking at this and the book itself. Okay, so how is your grade going to be broken down? 10% of your grade is going to be from those e-reading questions. 40 is going to be from any other assignments that we're doing, such as the contracts for change, the wellness worksheets, the videos with questions, etc. And then those 9 quizzes will be 50% of your grade. And the way that letter grades are assigned are just as tradition. If it's 90% or above, that's an A, 80 to 89, B, etc., etc. And if it's something like 89.5, yes, I do round because I don't think it's fair that math will get in your way other than your and not your grade. Okay, because this is an online course, you must pay very close attention to the deadlines. There's no way to make up assignments or quizzes. If you contact me in advance, we might be able to do something, but it has to be a very compelling reason. It can't be, but I want to go camping this weekend. I want to go camping too, but I'm still going to get everything done before due dates, okay? So do make sure you are checking those deadlines. Just because it's due by 8 a.m. on a Monday doesn't mean you can't get it done the Wednesday before and then you're done with everything, okay? So make sure you pay attention to that. I have that on there twice. That's fun. All right, awesome. Keep on going. So here's just some general things to help you be a successful college student, okay? If you are having trouble with keeping up with assignments, or if you need some help in organizing your own study habits, do be in touch. So I'm a friendly person, even though I'm very far away, so do feel free to send me emails. If it's something that's more complicated than we can cover over email, I might send you a phone number and we can chat by phone or FaceTime or something to help you get a better idea of how to be successful. All right. Here are the important dates you need for this class. So if for some reason you need to drop this class, you can get a refund if you drop by the 27th. Let's hold for airplane. Awesome. Okay, you can drop without a W on your transcript, but no refund by the 31st. If you want to add, you can add by the 31st. I'll have to figure out how those due dates are going to work for that. And then you can opt in to either get it for credit or no credit versus a point grade by November 3rd. And then the last day to drop with a W is the 25th. The last day of class is December 14th. Please make sure you let me know if any accommodations you have. In a perfect world, they would send me these things, but they don't. So, I think probably for, confidentiality reasons. So do let me know if you have accommodations, and we can talk about how to get those met in this course. And then there's a bunch of stuff on honesty. Please do not cheat. There are serious repercussions, including being kicked out of college altogether and that following you around forever. Don't let something stupid like letting someone else take your quiz for you be the thing that makes you get kicked out of college. That's ridiculous. Don't do it. All right. Last but not least, in any respect, we as a culture are noticing more and more that people with severe depression and suicidal thoughts need support. They need support. So there is a very confidential and anonymous multilingual helpline. Okay, here's that number, and a crisis line. So if for any reason you are suffering from any of these things, it is not a judgment of who you are as a person. It is just biology. So if you need help, do reach out. Okay, it's very, very important. We're going to talk a lot about that in this class. All right, so that's the syllabus. Let's move on very briefly and talk about Chapter 1. We're going to talk about health versus wellness. We're going to talk about some national vital statistics, some health disparities, and talk about how to go about a behavior change, okay? It's not easy, but we're going to talk about it, and some good terms that you're going to learn are risk factors and chronic disease. Okay, so wellness is our new health goal. So it took a long time for people to realize that it's not good enough to just be healthy today. Like, it's not good enough to say, well, but I ran a mile, I ate a salad, and I went to bed. Why am I not healthy? Well, if you're doing that without taking into account intellectual health or social health, etc., you may be healthy, which is your overall condition of your body at that moment, but you're not necessarily well, okay? So this is like the difference between weather and climate. So weather is what's happening outside right now, but climate is a long-established pattern in a certain area, okay? So same thing here. Health is exactly how you are right now. You may be having an awesome day today. You may feel amazing, but you have a chronic disease that you need to be aware of, and maybe you feel amazing because you are taking care of yourself in a way that chronic disease needs you to take care of. So for example, if you have cystic fibrosis and you're very aware of this, you're not going to go run a marathon because you would have your lungs aren't going to allow it. So that is using your general. So in that case, you're not overall. Your wellness isn't where you would hope it to be because you have bad lungs. You have a chronic disease within your lungs, but you are taking care of yourself in that moment so that you are taking into account that lack of wellness so that you are healthy for the day. Conversely, you could be having a really horrible day. Maybe you ate something bad and it is affecting your digestive system. Maybe you drank too much last night and didn't drink enough water and you have a bad hangover. So in that case, your health is bad, but maybe overall you're pretty healthy. You have pretty good wellness. So these are things that we're always working to make sure these two things are in balance, okay? So we make conscious decisions that affect risk factors that contribute to disease or injury. So what's a risk factor? A risk factor is anything that affects your wellness and health. Okay, so that could be smoking. That could be a genetic factor. That could be, are you going to go out or not? So that whatever it is, we'll talk a lot about it. So there's actually 9 dimensions to wellness. We mentioned 6 before. So the 6 went from physical, emotional, intellectual, interpersonal or social, spiritual, and environmental. But there's also cultural wellness, financial wellness, and occupational wellness. So cultural wellness, we'll get into that a lot, but that is a lot about how does your culture help you with your wellness. So there is we'll get back to this because there's some things to talk about here. So for example, in certain Latino cultures, it's just by culture, you are supposed to be very macho, okay? Or at least the men are very macho, and so it's not, by cultural standards, if someone is a more effeminate male, they could get bullied, and so that is a cultural risk factor that could be affecting their overall wellness. We'll talk a lot about it. Financial wellness is key. Are you living paycheck to paycheck or before paycheck? Are you financially sound? And this actually affects all of these things affect everything, but this is something that is especially important to college students. If you are living on a very fixed budget because you're in college, are you going to go out and buy a salad? Or are you going to buy a Big Mac? What's going to keep you full longer? But that isn't always the healthiest choice, okay? We'll talk about, another dimension to wellness is occupational health. So is your job something that is fulfilling to you, or is it making you really stressed out? If you're really stressed out, everything gets thrown off whack. All right, so this weird looking picture, it's from your book, is the idea that all of these things are always interconnected. Okay, so how well you're doing financially could affect how well you do interpersonally. So if you're really, really broke, maybe you can't go hang out with your friends when they want to go do something expensive. If you have a good interpersonal connection, you might be able to tell people, hey, I can't do that thing, I'm broke, and then they help you out by doing something less expensive, whatever. If that interpersonal part is really strong. The idea is that all of these things are always interconnected and affecting each other all the time. So just because one thing is super great doesn't mean everything else is super great. So when we are thinking about overall wellness, we're thinking about this continuum of all these things interacting and how we can make sure that we are achieving, or at least have this idea in mind, that we'll end up with a high level of wellness. If you have a high level of wellness, you end up with a vital, meaningful life. Unfortunately, if you have a low level of wellness, you have a malaise. That's when you're like, I'm just going to sit on my couch forever and eat Cheetos and watch Netflix. Now, you can do that every now and then because we definitely need days off from our stressful lives. But if that's all you do, there's probably something happening in one of these, if not more than one of these factors, that's causing you to have a very low level of wellness, okay? It could be depression, it could be something emotional, it could be something, maybe you lost your job, etc. But you can't stay in this malaise state and be healthy. All right, so what qualities or behaviors are in each dimension? I'm not going to go through and you'll see this is back to just the 6 because it gets complicated with the other ones. And I'm not going to go through each one, but it does let you know what kind of things we're looking for. If you're talking about, for example, for spirituality, it's not just do you go to church, do you believe in God, do you believe in whoever, whatever. It's can you have these different aspects, okay? Altruism is, do you help people, okay? Do you feel some sort of a joy? So this is different, a little bit different than emotional, because this is more, can you take care of yourself? And this is, how do you interact with the people around you, okay, or the world around you? Do you have a sense of meaning and purpose? So a lot of people have go through crises, midlife or quarter-life crises, because they don't feel like they have a sense of purpose, or something huge changes in their life and suddenly they lose that purpose, okay? Let's talk physical. I think whenever people think about health, they think about physical fitness and eating more than they do. So physical actually takes both of those into account. But it also means to avoid harmful habits and have safe sex, okay? And when it comes to sex, that is an interpersonal wellness. Are you being safe? Are you cultivating supportive relationships, etc.? We're going to get into each of these in their own lecture. All right, so let's talk about national vital statistics. So people like taking information. It helps us analyze the world, and we're going to talk about how you can take information to analyze your own world, your own part of the world, okay? And so how you affect the world and how the world affects you. So this is from the World Health Statistics from the World Health Organization in 2016. They went and looked at life expectancies in both men and women, and I guess, well, in all sexes, around the world. And they found that the U.S. is not, we don't have the largest life expectancy in the world. The places that do are places like Canada, most of Europe, and Australia, New Zealand, okay? And, is this Argentina? I think this is Argentina. Nope, I think that might be Peru. Oh, you guys, this is why I teach science. Anyway, moving on away from my bad geography. Why do we not have the best? Our life expectancy is between 70 and 79 years. Other places go up to 87 years. So what's happening? Why aren't we the best? What is it? Let's talk about it. So the National Vital Statistics Report is the report that went in and looked at how did people die. And the last time they put out a major publication was in 2015. And the major leading causes of death in the U.S. were heart disease, cancer, chronic lower respiratory diseases, so diseases in the lungs, car accidents or accidents in general, and stroke. Okay. Now, this is the first time since 1976 that homicide has not been in the top 15 leading causes of death in the U.S., so that's pretty good. And you'll see none of these things are like the Black Death or any major communicable diseases. All of these things are either caused by or can be attributed to stress. Okay, so all of a sudden we go from the world trying to kill us to we are killing ourselves by stressing ourselves out too much. And we're going to talk a lot about that. Some of these are also exacerbated by or made worse by genetic predisposition, so who you are in your genes. We'll talk a lot about that too. We do see a difference in causes of death for all age categories. So we tend to see that if you look at how teenagers and people in their early 20s, their leading top causes of death, you see suicide. Okay, so suicide is one of the major causes of death for people in their teens and 20s, which is college students, which is terrifying. And again, that is very often a stress-related problem. We also see differences when we look at, and interestingly, so this is interestingly, the life expectancy has dropped since 1993. Okay, so males drop by a couple months and females drop by a couple months. There's also an interesting disparity between males tend not to live as long as females. So why is that? Well, males tend to, just to make a gross overgeneralization, they tend to do things like go off to war or be in accidents a lot more than females. And a lot of that's cultural. A lot of it has to do with testosterone surges when you're a teenager, etc. Okay, so that's just fun, interesting fact. It is not like my mom told me when I was a kid because girls sit down to pee. She said, oh no, it's because ladies get to sit down and rest. No, it's not that. It's more complicated. Thanks, Mom. All right, so let's look at that gap between males and females. So the gap has decreased since 79, so that's good, except it's for bad reasons in women. So women have started in the mid-80s, started smoking a lot more, so they've had a lot more cancer mortality, so that's a problem. And men have actually decrease their heart disease mortality. Some guys are starting to, or men are starting to figure out that, oh, I need to change my lifestyle so that I don't get heart disease. Okay, and that is, we now know that that's a very big deal. The more Big Macs you eat, the more likely you are to have a heart attack. And especially if you're not an active individual. But in like the 50s and 60s, people refused to see a link. They said, no, there's no way that my behavior and my stress levels are getting me sick. There's no way my emotions can make me sick. And so for a long time, people just ignored stuff like that. And then suddenly, well, we'll talk about when we get to stress. It's an interesting fact for now. All right. We also see differences between races. Okay, so in 2015, the life expectancy was 75.2 years for the entire black population, and in the white population, it was 78, almost 79 years. So why? Why do we see these differences? Well, there's differences, first, in how cultures interact within themselves and when they interact with each other, and that's a terrifying thing. For Hispanic populations, we actually see the best life expectancy. Now, you might think, but wait a minute, why is it Hispanic? Why, Hispanic populations are also picked on a lot. There's a lot of cultural disparity between white and Hispanic populations as well. Well, there's what's called the migrant effect. So often when people are sending migrant or coming over for migrant worker reasons, they send their healthiest individuals because they're the ones who can do the work. And then once those healthy individuals, if they start to get sick or age and get too old to work, they go home. And so that's called the salmon effect, where you return home. So there may be some skewing there. You also see Hispanic families tend to be a lot more familial, so there's a lot more family support in a lot of Hispanic cultures. So that is a very huge part of your wellness, that interpersonal relationship. Not to say that white and black populations don't also have that, but it's definitely seems to be the strongest in a lot of Hispanic populations. All right, so if we combine race and gender, we see that in 2015, white males had do they have the longest? They don't have the longest. It's still the Hispanic males who have the longest. And Hispanic females still have the longest. But let's look at the difference between the lowest life expectancy, the black male, and the Hispanic female that has the highest. So that is an 11-year, almost 12-year gap. Why? Why is there such a huge difference? Why do we see this difference? There is something going on with this. It's either a social, political thing. It could be a patriarchy thing. Who knows? We're going to talk a lot about it, but it's something to consider. If you're in one of the groups that has a lower life expectancy, you unfortunately might have to work harder to be a healthier individual. That does not mean that if you're in one of the groups with the higher life expectancy that you get to sit back and be okay. You still should be paying attention to your own health. You just may not have as many hurdles as other people. Okay, big gap. All right. So I don't remember when this started, but based on probably in 2015 when the data came out, there was this national initiative called the Health Promotion and Disease Prevention Program by the Healthy People 2020, and the idea was by 2020 they wanted to take away all the things that are inhibiting people from being their best selves. And the idea was to attain high-quality, longer lives free of preventable disease, disability, injury, and premature death. So let's find a way to make sure everyone is living a safe and healthy life, okay? And we need to do this by eliminating disparities and improving the health of all groups. We need to create social and physical environments that promote good health for all. And we need to promote quality of life, healthy development, and healthy behaviors across all life stages. So it's not good enough to just get to your, 60s and be like, oh, I should take care of myself. You have to be doing this through your whole life. And this is hard in your early 20s because you feel invincible. You are the peak physiology that you'll probably have your whole life. Your metabolism is at its best. Your brain is finishing its development. You feel awesome. Sometimes, not necessarily always. And so you decide, you're like, this is it, I'm the best I'm going to be. And then you kind of taper off towards your late 20s and your early 30s, and then that's not great. You have to keep it going all the time. So this was a government funded program. It was funded by, where are my notes? I don't know my notes are. Okay, so it was funded by the one of the Department of Health groups. So I'm not actually sure what is... So the problem with the government-funded kinds of things is that once the government leadership changes, a lot of the programs change. And so this is not necessarily what is still in process right now, but it is one of the main things behind the American Care Act, was to say, look, it's an Obamacare is what it's also called. There's no reason for people not to have healthy lives, and it's not fair that just because someone lives in a poor neighborhood that they have more stress than someone who lives in a fancy neighborhood. We should eliminate all these things so everyone is equal. Stay tuned to the news to see what will happen there. All right. So a health disparity is a particular type of health difference that is closely linked with social, economic, or environmental disadvantage. And we see this based, like we were saying, on racial and ethnic groups. Sometimes you see this based on religion, on your education or your income. And we are seeing this very often now, gender and sexual orientation and identity, and age. There's a lot of age bias, okay? And my brother right now is dealing with mental health and physical disability, causing a lot of bias. So it's a lot of obstacles he has to go through to try and just have a normal life. And that's something that the initiative, this 2020 initiative, was trying to get rid of. So the idea is, if you have a disability, you shouldn't have to, you shouldn't suffer unduly. You can still be a healthy individual who's contributing to society. We're going to talk about all these things. So these kinds of things are things that you should be thinking about when you're thinking about your own health. Okay, so am I at an age where I need to be, where this is going to make it hard for me to get insurance? Am I of a sexual orientation that, depending on where I live, I'm going to get bullied? My safety is at risk. Am I in an income bracket where it's really expensive to eat healthy? There's are things that we really, in a religion, if you're Muslim, it's very hard to be an American, right? Well, maybe, yeah, right now I'm sure. And in other different religions, because people are just always, your safety is a factor, and that's part of your health is, are you safe? Okay, and then geographic location, getting cut off at the bottom, is also important. Depending on where you live, you could have environmental factors that are affecting your health and should be taken into account. Now, this kind of looks all terrifying, like, of course, I have all of these, maybe you have all of these problems. How could I ever be healthy? But that doesn't mean you will never be healthy. It just means you have to think about these things when you're making healthy choices. All right, so what influences wellness in a good way? So your health habits, so do you decide to eat a salad or do you decide to drink a bunch of tequila? Okay, so clearly one of those is a better healthy habit. You also have to think about your family history. So my family has a lot of blood pressure issues, so I have to think about that when I'm making choices. Should I eat a bowl of queso today? Probably not, because of those family backgrounds. The environment that you live in or that you work in, etc., could affect your health. Your access to healthcare, and good news, MPZ provides a lot of that for you. So if you don't know about that yet, you will after this lecture. Over all of these factors, which ones do you have control over? Take a second, think about it. You have control over your health habits especially, and you have no control over your heredity. That's just, it's in your genes, you can't change it. No matter how much science fiction wants you to think that you could just take a pill and change your genes, you can't. You may or may not be able to change your environment. It's a privilege to be able to get up and leave an unhealthy environment and go to a new one, and people need to recognize that. But you can change your habits, okay? So that's something we're going to focus on in this class. So your healthy behaviors make a difference, and we're going to talk about how to increase them in this class. I promise this lecture is not too much longer. At MPC, you have some health care, okay? You are entitled to free over-the-counter medication, free mental health therapy, very important, take advantage of this while you can, and so much more. So at the Student Health and Mental Health Services, you pay your fee for, you're already paying for this. If you're in this class, you've paid for this service, so go ahead and take advantage of it. You can drop in and visit. You can also make appointments. Those are required for counseling and other things. There are psychological services. There are vaccines. I bet HPV is one of these vaccines now. I have no idea. And you can get TB tests in California, and actually most states, but not Texas, where I'm from. You have to get a TB test to work with the public. We'll talk about TB later. I don't know if these doctors are the main doctors still, but just in case, you can make an appointment for off-site doctors at the health center, and these kinds of doctors will assess many things, such as everyone should get tested for all of these things, no matter what your age is. If you are an older student and you're worried about arthritis, you should talk to them about arthritis, because that's why they're there, is to help you with these things. Even if you're a younger student and you're worried about arthritis, again, you can go in and talk to the doctor. This is the last time I gave this lecture. This was the appointment time, so make sure to check in this if this is still accurate. There's also somebody who is at Ryan Ranch, and these are $50 visits, and you get this is where you get labs and a lot of imaging. This is actually, this seems like a lot of money. It's almost as much as your book was, but without insurance, these things are incredibly cost prohibitive. So the fact that NPC covers and you only have to pay $50 is actually a pretty good deal. And talk to the health center to see if there's any other services. You should definitely talk to health services if you are injured for any reason. Okay, so they are going to take care of first aid and medical referrals. Okay, and since if anything happens on campus, you're covered by the insurance, and so that needs to be reported. Okay. If you have some kind of limiting condition or health problem, you should talk to health services. Not only there could be accommodations that you aren't even aware that you have, or you could, this also just tells them the population of students coming here and that it affects the funding. Oh my goodness, we haven't even gotten to all of this stuff. I think I'm going to end this lecture here, and we'll come back to, because it's almost an hour, we'll come back to the second part of this on Tuesday. So I will talk to you all later. Bye.